Hello, and welcome to my channel. Guys, I am back, and I am back to do the cool down lap for the World Athletics Indoor Championships. Did I mean to do this last week? I did. Um, it's track season. I'm in the middle of Hydrox training. I'm leaving and going on vacation in a couple of days. It's just been crazy. This is probably like very irrelevant by now, but I want to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it, and that's just what's happening. So I do really apologize. I am trying to be consistent with my upload schedule. I just always forget how busy and crazy and chaotic track season is, to be completely honest with you. But we are trying. We are making an effort. With that being said, let's get into the results of the World Athletics Indoor Championships because there are some super interesting things to unpack. Obviously, I want to start with the men's 800 meters. That was the firehouse. That was the fireworks, the firepower. Cooper Lukenhaus, 17-year-old, making every other high school track athlete be like, damn, I am rolled. Winning the World Athletics Indoor Championship in the 800 in 1:44.24. Absolutely crazy. And hey, my prediction was not that far off because I said sprint finish between Lukenhaus and Mohamed Atoui. Atoui was in third, and he was coming up like with about 100 meters to go. And I was like, am I actually going to get what I said was going to happen? I was close, guys. This is an absolutely crazy, like, career jump starting, if his career has already not been jump started enough, moment for Cooper Lukenhaus. And also, I've been seeing all over social media that he is eyeing the 400-1500 double, which, like, I cannot understate how crazy that is. And, like, from a perspective, like, from my perspective, it makes sense why he would eye that double because he does have really good speed, but obviously he's a young athlete with lots of time to also develop his endurance. So I can definitely see where the thought process would come from. Now, this doesn't mean we've ever seen anyone do it successfully because we haven't, but look, we're used to people this day and age just doing things we never even thought were possible. And at this point, I am not going to be one to doubt because it is just, there's been so much crazy things happening. There's been so many things happening that I didn't think were possible. I can't doubt it. But like, it's crazy. He's got crazy speed. I mean, his split through 400 to open the 800 was 52 seconds, and he just was so composed. And I think that's what also hits home for me is for a 17-year-old, he looks so composed. He didn't immediately take it out. He let Creston take it out. He sat on his shoulder, and then he was like, okay, now I'm going. And I think it was right at that 400-meter mark where he said, okay, I'm going to assert myself, and he moved into the lead, but he didn't immediately run away with it. He kept it close. He kept it at his pace. He led the pack, and then he just blasted it open, and that's how he won this race. Like, it was so tactically well done, and I will always say I love the indoor 4 and the indoor 8, especially the indoor 8, because they are such tactical races. In my opinion, the indoor 8 might be the most tactical race in all of mid distance, like indoor, outdoor, whatever. Indoor, specifically the 8, anywhere, like, I feel like it is the most tactical. So to be able to have that mastery of that tactic when you're so young is just, that is something that's really special. And that's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. They want to talk about the time, they want to talk about the composure. The actual racing mindset itself and the racing prowess that he demonstrated in this race was truly something special. And the women's 800 brought the fireworks too, but kind of in almost an opposite way, because while Lukenhaus was the favorite going in, it was going to be pretty tightly contested. You know, there were different people predicting different things. Meanwhile, on the women's side, pretty much everyone said Keely Hodgkinson was going to win, and that was exactly what happened. Really, nobody was close. 1:55.3 course record, and she looked just so good. Audrey Guerrero got the national record behind her in 156.64. That's something that I love to see, is all these other athletes get dragged around by someone going out this fast, by someone being this much better. It's the exact same thing we're seeing in the pole vault right now, where all these other people will be dragged along and ran the fastest times of their lives. Because I mean, 156.64, that is a crazy amazing time. And then Addie Wiley came through for the bronze in 158.36, which was her personal best. So like just a whole host of personal bests, which is so impressive. And it just shows you the effect that an athlete like Keely Hodgkinson honestly can have. And it's something that's really interesting. So moving on, continuing on kind of our mid-distance look, the men's 1500, this was such an open race. Obviously, Isaac Nader was a favorite going in because he did win world champs last year, but he was an outside pick to win world champs. It was kind of really random. I remember watching it and just being like, what is happening right now? So it was kind of open. No one really knew what was going to happen in this race, and Isaac Nader did come through for a really good silver performance. But Mariano Garcia of Spain, and you guys, when I tell you he would not have been my first, second, third, fourth, or probably even fifth pick to win this race. And look, maybe that's me because he is a previous world indoor champion. He also has a European championship under his belt. But it's very interesting to me because he is now a two-time world indoor champion, and he has only been in the top 8 at a world indoor championship 2 times, and it was both of the times that he won, I believe. So it's like Mariano Garcia is one of those people who you really see, or you really don't, I feel like, in a lot of cases. And it's just like, it's crazy. It's so crazy to me. And this race was a little bit tactical, but it was still fast. He was still under 340. So it's just, it is such an open event right now where any day it's anyone's race. It is great to see Isaac Nader coming into his own. He definitely backed up that he is here to stay at the top when it comes to global 1500 meter running. But it's just one of those events where it's basically impossible to win consistently because there is so much talent. And then Adam Spencer came through in third, and Samuel Filstrom for Sweden in fourth. That was just such an interesting race too, because he really took it out. And that's something that nowadays, especially with tactical racing, you don't see that being successful. That is literally never successful. But literally every single split, he led basically the entire race, gun to tape. And that is something that, look, I admire. Not even do I admire the win, the guts, the talent. I admire just the mindset of, I'm going to go out there, stay with me, I dare you. That is just such a special mindset to see from an athlete, and it's something that's always really interesting to watch. It always makes for interesting races. On the women's side, Georgia Hunter-Bell, world leading 358.53. I mean, I kind of figured that one of the British women would get it. They have just all looked really good this season. It's been a pretty stellar winter overall, I would say, for British athletics. I would say they should be pretty happy with all of the talent and star power that they have been developing in a couple of past years, but especially this winter, it's really kind of all coming out and things are coming together, which is really great to see. And then Jessica Hall and Nikki Hiltz came through for silver and bronze. What surprised me, to be honest, was Agathe Guillemot not being on the podium. I feel like she is a podium staple, but she ran a national record. It's one of those things where this was a fast race. Jess Hull ran an area record. Nikki Hiltz, they ran a personal best. It was a pretty fast race, and it was just another one that, this is one of those where definitely go watch the actual highlights. I can't show them to you because I don't want this video to get deleted off the face of the internet. But go watch them because that race, that was an interesting one for sure. I'm not going to go super in-depth into all the events also in this video. I'm just kind of giving overviews. which is what I'll do in the long jump. Portugal swept both long jump competitions, men's and women's, so that's cool. Pole vault, I definitely do want to talk about. Mondo Duplantis wins on the men's side. Are we surprised? He jumped a course, it feels weird to say course record. I think it's a championship record. Usually I call it a course record because, like, it's the cross country in me, but it is technically, I'm pretty sure it's technically a championship record. It's not really a pole vault course. It's not really a track course either. I'm just weird. But, Mondo Duplantis won it, but he vaulted 625. A lot of people were expecting him to go for it. He said, I gave it what I had on the day. A lot of people I know were disappointed by that, expecting a world record, but I mean, he still won the competition by a full 20 centimeters ahead of Corrales, which, again, it was just a clinic in how far ahead he is, but also Corrales is always going to try to keep up. And, I admire the guts because a lot of times that is one of the reasons I think that he jumped that massive PR on home soil, because so many times when he's competing against Mondo, he just goes to heights that he's like, I have a very small chance of clearing this, because that's the only way you could even dream of beating Mondo. And then Curtis Marshall of Australia equaled his PB for bronze, jumping 6 meters. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit higher jumps, but like, maybe that's greedy of me. There have been a lot of very high jumps this year. So I only see 3 men over 6 meters. I was like, oh, I was hoping for like 4 or 5. But like, it was a really good competition, so I feel like we can't get too greedy. Yeah, it was a very good competition. And then Molly Caudry, 485 on the women's side to take that competition ahead of Tina Schutte and Amalie Spinikova of Czechia. So definitely that was also, well, actually, hold on, never mind. It shows the top 3, but I forgot that also Imogen Iris for New Zealand and Moser for Switzerland. Also, there was a 3-way tie for the bronze medal, because they all jumped 470 and they all had, I believe, clean scorecards up to 470. So that was a really good competition. Caudry has been someone who's been a staple on the world stage, but obviously has struggled with injury. Last year at World Champs, has struggled with injury at other times in her career, and it's great to see what she's capable of when she is healthy, when she's jumping well. And she just always looks so happy. Like, she always looks so positive when she's jumping well, and it's just something that's like, you love to see when an athlete that's like so outward like that is jumping well, because it's such a great performance and it just makes you really happy to see. The next event that I did want to touch on is the 3,000 meters. These were a pair of really, really fun races. First of all, Natia Bettikledi winning the women's side in 8:57. This was such a fun race to watch. And then Emily Mackay and Jess Hall were silver and bronze. Very interesting race. All 3 of those women under 9 minutes, everyone else over 9 minutes. It was tactical for sure. Obviously, almost 9 minutes is going to be a tactical race. But Nadia Bettikledi has really been asserting herself on the world stage, and it is really good to see, because especially when she started winning, because I've been following her since her like under 20 European cross days. It's been really great to see, because a lot of times there has been this narrative that in the long distances, no one can live with the East Africans. But Nadia Bettikledi, obviously a host of other athletes too, but her especially, who comes to mind, have really been showing that, like, no, the European crowd especially, we can live with the East Africans, we can medal against them, we can beat them. And this was such a good race. And it's always so interesting at the World Indoors to see the 3K, because it's always going to be an interesting mix of steeplers, 1,500 people stepping up, 5K people stepping down, maybe even like a 10K, 5K person stepping down. It's always just so interesting to see, and it always makes such a great race. And then on the men's side, it was honestly no different, except Josh Kerr, I would say, was much more of a front runner, and who's much more of like the type of person that you would think of when you're thinking of, oh, who's going to win this race. Like, I had Nadia Betticotti as my favorite, but I know it was a lot more splintered, whereas a lot more people were picking Josh Kerr or making it out to be, it's Josh Kerr versus Cole Hawker, which is what it ended up being. Josh Kerr ran 7:35 for the win. Cole Hawker came up on the outside. He just came a little bit too late, and I mean that is the risk you run when you run that type of race. And I think that's something Cole Hawker, at this point in his career, I don't think that's going to change. I think that's going to be the way Cole Hawker races. But it is something that can bite you in the butt, especially on the indoor circuit, because as someone who doesn't race indoors that much, and then randomly I'll go and race indoors, it can be super tricky because a lot of times you think you have way more time and space than you do. Especially coming off of a finish, especially in a long distance race. A lot of times mentally, at least for me, I feel like I have more space than I actually do to kick. Because you have all those bends and it's a compressed track and all of that. So I do wonder if that kind of could play a part in that. Anyways, moving on to the high jump. Ukrainian sweep, great to see. And then the last things I want to talk about are the heptathlon and pentathlon, because world record in the heptathlon, Simon Ehammer for Switzerland. Honestly, look, his whole entire competition was just so strong. He had personal best, personal best, personal best. It just looked so good. From start to finish. And I mean, that is kind of what you have to have in order to obviously get a world record. But he was just performing above and beyond in every single event. And it was so great to see because, again, I feel like I say this with every event, so tightly contested on a world stage. And I know some of the people that we normally see competing outdoors in decathlon were not here. We're not competing at World Indoors, but it was still, there were so many strong contenders. And obviously, I think Ehammer was the favorite. And a lot of the conversation was, will he get this record? But I mean, he pole vaulted 5:30. He had a PR in the 1,000 meters. He had a 60-meter hurdles. I believe it might have actually been the 60-meter hurdles decathlon. Yeah, it was the world indoor heptathlon best in the 60-meter hurdles. Absolutely crazy, just really good performance. And I love to watch the multi-events. They're just so interesting. And that was a show for the ages. And then Sophie Doctor, I don't think anyone was predicting that she would win. I think many people were predicting that she would medal. But at the end of the day, it just comes out to who is better on the day. And Sophie Doctor, she was the best on the day. That is something you cannot deny. So many great performances. And half the time she didn't even look happy with their performances, even though they were really good. And I know that's very common in the multi-events. You have to keep your composure, but I just think it's crazy. It's crazy what they're capable of. It's just so beyond. But yeah, so she had a world leading 2,153 for pentathlon. So yeah, guys, that is my little very late recap of this championships. Also, I do actually have a cutaway for you, so let me go to that. Hey guys, I'm here to ask you a very important question. When you think of autism acceptance and autism advocacy, what do you think of? Many people think of support services for autistic children in schools. And while these are so important, services for autistic adults are often put on the back burner. The majority of state-funded support services for autistic adults end at or before age 22, leading to dropping off the cliff and no longer being able to access important support services. That is why I am so proud to be teaming with Love Michael, which is an organization that works to help find employment and advocacy, as well as additional support services for adults living with autism. By making a donation, you can help an autistic adult find employment and help them to advocate for the future of autistic adults, including their abilities to receive these important support services and get aid for these services. I'm going to have a link down below where you can donate to Love Michael. The minimum donation is $25 and you will get a bracelet, one to keep, one to share, to show the importance of spreading awareness for autism. Thank you guys so much in advance, and let's get back to the video. All right, and before I actually leave, I have one more thing that I want to show you guys that I keep forgetting to show. I feel like this has been in the background for a little while. I love building Legos. We can tell this. We know this. And I have my Olympic rings, but I wanted something else that was like track themed. I made a little Lego. It's supposed to be like Hayward Field. I don't know how much that really comes across, but we got a little Lego track. So I have that in the background of all my videos now because I wanted something there that was like more track themed stuff. Like, I think I said this in another video also, but let me know, like, what are some cool track themed Lego builds that I could do, because I am a big fan of anything Legos and a big fan of anything track, and I really want to spice up my background. So let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all later. Bye.